to make our work accessible, and as you say, to make it sustainable, then we have to receive some kind of income, maybe income worthy of the gift that we have been entrusted with, that we offer to others. I had a supervisor who once said she'd heard that we're paid not to do what we do, but so that we can do what we do. It makes it possible for us to invest our whole lives in this because we're sustained. And people, I think, in honoring and valuing the kind of input that we would hope our very being would result into their lives, well, I believe it's worth it because they are. Because they are, actually. They really
We
are.
all are.
Yeah, we all
We're
are.
all worth what we want in a way.
Oh, that's a
And
gift.
this, I love how you're doing sauna. I love how, like, let's go back to the sauna for a second, because like all this,
Yeah,
having to hold
wonderful.
space for 8 to 10 people a week, the energy of that, you has really called me into just doing so much more self-care.
So
So much more self-care.
critically important.
My
Absolutely.
gosh.
Yeah, man,
I
no.
thought I was ready. I thought I was ready, but then I was like, what is this new weight that I've absorbed and trying to release? And like, from yoga to surfing, I mean, surfing has just been amazing, but like taking care of the vessel energetically, I think has been a big, not a big undertaking, but a request. Like there's a part of me, my intuition is like really demanding or requesting that I look out for me, look out for myself, right? With like healthy boundaries, not so porous boundaries, feeling like you are solely responsible for this person's transformation. And if they don't get results, it's on you. And
Too
it's like,
much.
I've already overcome that, but there's a part of me that's like, I wish I could get you results, but there's some things that are out of my capacity, you know?
And beyond our control, too. We cannot write another's destiny. And there are choices that a person, well, may or may not be able to make, not so much capable of making, but at a particular time and place for a whole number of reasons. They just aren't ready to choose something. The gravity of what it is that holds them at this point in their lives still remains so powerful. And because it will have unconscious elements to it,
Yeah.
it's very difficult to both discern what it is about this particular point in time and place that seems to matter so much. And therefore, it's very difficult to break free when you can't quite understand why. What am I even doing here? Why can't I make a choice that clearly would? Well, it's not clear. That's the problem. It's not so clearly because it's not clearly would make a big difference to my life. I just can't see it yet. And although we might be able to facilitate a process of some degree of clarity, enlightening, I can't drag you into anything. Um,
Yeah.
and sometimes it just does take years. It just sometimes does. But every moment of that little epoch, can you have a little epoch? That period of time will matter too. Something is happening, even though we're not aware of it. Much of this is invisible. You just can't see it. You can't even see
Yeah.
it yourself, that there's a change taking place in you. So organic. That's the kind of change I like. One that is not in any way contrived or forced or manipulated by my clever techniques, but one that just occurs naturally, organically. Something changes in you, and then you're ready. You ask a particular question, and in time, you find you're living in the answer to it, and it suddenly dawns on you, oh, felt so lost before. Or one guy in prison said to me once, he said, what I loved about your work, Kit, was one, you made yourself really, really vulnerable. You were just like us. And in some respects, we're just an honest and true. And he said, I didn't even know what the questions before I met you. But in the work we did together, I was able to identify my questions, the ones that were really pertinent to me. and then to discover my answers. And you never told me. You never told me what questions to ask, really, or what my answers might be. But you made it possible for me to discover that for myself. And I really like that sense of personal empowerment that results. There's no dependency on it, on me. You realize I have this within me. I have this resource. And I'm ready for the changes I can make in a world where there's so much that's uncertain and there are so many things we cannot change.
Coming
And
in, yeah.
when you were talking about the quiet and why I love the sauna so much is, of course, you can only really hear when you're quiet, when you're really quiet. And that art of stillness and silence. Do you know, I did a whole meditation once. I was at a kind of a retreat, like a silent retreat, and there was some quote on the wall that I think was from the Christian Bible. Be still and know that I am God. And I took each word, and I just was with it in the stillness and the quietness for, well, I think about 3 hours. The word be, or that was beginning to mean, and still, that was an unusual word. I'm not very good at being still. So, and I
Hard
was, it
these
was really,
days. Hard in modern
yeah,
society to be still. We're not being
I know.
asked to be still. We're asking to do a lot.
And even that word and what, it's kind of like prompt. I like that word. And no, what is there to know? Oh, it sounds silly, but it wasn't silly. It felt really profound. That I am what, it just, anyway, in the silence, you
When
can
we
hear.
try to explain these profound moments of our own that's so personal,
No,
can feel a little silly, right? It's like, does this person get what I'm saying, or do I look a little crazy right now? And that's the thing. I like want to invite the word that we use, or what I said at one of the workshops that we did was, um, our healing is like an organic algorithm that needs
love.
to be shown the all like more variables so we can solve the equation. But I
Mm,
also believe that like life isn't like the meaning of life isn't to solve it, isn't to find the meaning, it's to create your meaning out of love, obviously, and light. But when it comes to that organic transmuting, I feel like the role that I've decided, or the purpose that I've decided through helping others, is to, yeah, like what you taught me is like really listen to someone's story and give them that permission to understand that a lot of that stuff isn't their fault. A lot of that stuff isn't theirs to control anyways, but inviting them to take control over the full permission we give ourselves to feel the extent of our feelings, right? To know that they all serve a purpose. Like fear serves a function, shame serves a function. You know, Brene Brown says, really illustrates this beautifully about, we're all striving for perfectionism. Wherever there is perfectionism, shame is always lurking. And so, can we give ourselves permission to be perfectly imperfect? Otherwise, how would we learn? How would we
yeah,
learn through our mistakes and failures?
be
Right?
good and
Failure seems to be a prerequisite to success. You need
mm,
to fail to succeed.
yeah. We should give it another name. It's so
Yeah,
loaded, that word
it's
fail.
visceral. Yeah.
But it's implicit in learning. It's part of discovery, that in a place of unknowing and the unknown. And then the
Yeah.
exploration. It's like a child. Does this, what is this? Oh, it's fire and it hurts. Um, so you kind of learn about the world around you. And I know that's not quite the same as that sense that we failed. Often we failed someone, haven't we? That's where the shame comes from. Someone's expectations we failed to meet, and we are left feeling so inadequate and indicted, way beyond embarrassment, a kind of mm, collapsing of our dignity, the loss of so much then. No, a person who has no sense of personal dignity, how can they feel lovable, worthy? It's a shattering kind of place. And shame, so toxic, stains the soul.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
And so regaining like the stories, regaining a sense of authorship, um, of our story. But even that's complex, isn't it, Craig?
It
We
is. It's,
we
mm,
tell ourselves stories. The story that we tell ourselves is the story it becomes. And if that story is informed by these unconscious influences and influencers that cause us to believe certain things about ourselves and about the world, then
mhm.
these are the references we use to construct a narrative for our lives, which may be entirely misguided, and only be a story of a woundedness, which is, of course, entirely valid, but it's not the only story. And it's a story that's likely to repeat itself until perhaps there is a transcending vision of oneself.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
that's the whole thing, a vision of who I could be, who I want to be. And And that's so hard, because if I want to be someone you want me to be, but I don't realize that I want to be the someone you want me to be, then my answer to the question, who do I want to be, will be a regurgitation of what you want me to be. That is now an unconscious interject, and I
Yeah.
just holds it. But of course, it won't resonate, although it might inspire from a source of insecurity when you aspire to being loved and hoping that something out there, someone out there will bolster that sense of inadequacy. It's
Yeah.
not this is an
Yeah.
entirely different kind of vision of self. But that's our work to bring into consciousness those things that um, people just can't see yet. And that's
Yeah.
why it's so delicate, because these are the places of the deepest wounds,
Yeah.
uh, from which, of course, we naturally enough defend ourselves and feel a sense of shame and association with. So we're protecting ourselves.
Yeah.
Our inner critic spends a lot of energy trying to protect us from looking
Yeah.
stupid,
Yeah.
embarrassing us, gags us.
Mhm.
Lots of work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it beautifully
That's so.
said. No, we weave these words in ways that we're on the level, Kit. And I think that what the words that come to me are just like catching up people to renegotiate with themselves the meaning they put to their story, the narrative, right? And
Like
so
that
that they can be
negotiation.
present with
Yeah.
that and find
Yeah.
that authenticity and confidence and belonging. Like those are such fundamentals to feeling okay, to feeling giving our right to exist, our birthright to just experience joy and fulfillment in life, right? You know, so much more to talk about, much more to share.
This is not hard sell. This is just two people. You want to learn what it means to love, and bring that quality into the
Yeah,
world and the hearts of others.
yeah. Learn to
So
love. I love that.
um you take care. Have
Yeah,
a
you
good
too,
whatever
brother.
it is, and I'll see you. Love you, man.
Love you too, brother.